Good day. Drug Free America Foundation's reporting on substance abuse and how it impacts the family. I'm Lana Beck and Director of Communications with the Foundation. I'm here with Judge Irene Sullivan, who's a 10-year Circuit Court judge veteran. She has 7 years in juvenile court and 3 years in family court. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Substance abuse impacts the family on so many different levels. And there's so many different forms, whether it's illicit drug abuse, alcohol abuse, prescription drug abuse. And there are so many cases that are out there that are drug related. Today we're going to find out how many Judge Sullivan sees in her courtroom. Within your child protection cases, how many do you feel are drug related?
Well, in dependency court, which is the child protection court, I would estimate approximately 75% of the cases I see have a drug or alcohol abuse basis, and that's the reason that the children are removed. It starts out with the initial incident that brings the case into court. For example, a baby is born cocaine positive and is then removed from the mother, or a toddler is found wandering in the street at 2 in the morning in diapers because the parent or parents are passed out on the couch from alcohol or something. Or a kindergartner brings marijuana to school to show everyone because he found it in the house. Or children are involved with their parents during a drug deal where the guns might be involved and they're in the car at a great risk to themselves. So that's the initial incident, but as bad as those are, it's even more insidious and pervasive as the years go on from that case, because those children are often removed, placed with relatives or in foster care if we can't find relatives, and the parents try to get over their addiction. Perhaps they're reunited with their children, but then they fall off the wagon and the kids are removed again. They have to change schools, they're disappointed in their parents, there's abandonment feelings, rejection, disappointment, and very often, because I'm a juvenile judge doing delinquency work too, those are the kids who start at 9, 10, 11 committing crimes, using substances, marijuana, other substances themselves to self-medicate their depression and their feelings over what happened for all these years.
Well, recently Monitoring the Future came out with a statistic that 75% of children in foster care are there because of substance abuse. So it sounds like you would have to say that you see that.
Kind of coincidental. I didn't know that figure from you before today, but that's about what I'd estimate. There are other cases of physical abuse unrelated, but about 75% of the cases, if you take prescription drugs, illegal drugs, and alcohol are related that way. And it often comes too with relative placement breakdowns may occur because the relatives may have been involved in illegal substances too. So the children are removed from the parents, go to the relatives, and then there's another breakdown because of substance abuse. So it's very, very sad for these kids.
What about domestic violence? Do you see drug use associated with majority of your domestic violence cases?
As juvenile judges, we do the domestic violence cases of those kids in our court in either dependency or delinquency when their parents or caretakers, caregivers, have a domestic violence case. So we see those cases. And I would say it's kind of chicken or the egg. Substance abuse is very much involved in domestic violence cases. It may start first as pure domestic violence, but the substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or illegal drugs, escalates the violence. And then very often the victim becomes isolated, is depressed, and begins self-medicating with illegal drugs or alcohol, because she or he is a victim of domestic violence. So they're intertwined almost all the time. And I guess the reason is the victim is using, and the perpetrator then uses that as an excuse to become more violent.
So you see drug abuse associated with many of these cases, whether it's indirectly or directly, but one of the worst crimes obviously committed is child abuse. And do you see a direct correlation between child abuse and substance abuse in your court?
Well, I consider child abuse, our standard is abuse, abandonment, neglect, and I consider the use of substances, whether they're legal or illegal, to the extent that you're abusing them and cannot be a responsible parent and take care of this child. In other words, a toddler wandering in the street when the parent is passed out is child abuse. So it doesn't have to be direct physical abuse. That certainly is emotional abuse too, when the parent can't take part in school activities, isn't interested in the child's life because they're so focused on their own need for substances. So that to me is child abuse.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. So many things have changed over the last year, especially with the economy. Have you seen an increase or decrease in substance abuse related cases that you're dealing with?
I think I have. I don't think it's a huge increase because it was already pretty high. But in a bad economy, we certainly have more cases in court. Some of them come because of homelessness, evictions, a loss of job. But I do think there's a tendency in those cases then to turn to illegal substances for, again,
Stress.
make yourself feel
Right.
better, stress relief and all that. So I don't think it's a huge increase in the increase of the cases we've seen. We've certainly seen a lot because of a bad economy, but it's a danger in a bad economy.
Oh, yes, definitely. Now,